Okay. I call this meeting of the Coldspring-Oakhurst Consolidated Independent School District to order. Let the record show that the quorum of board members is present. This meeting has been duly called, and the notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meeting Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. The time is now 6:30 on April 27th, 2026. We're going to begin with communication. If you can stand with me. Before we come to you tonight, we just thank you for the gift that we have to come and make decisions for our students, for our community. Lord, we pray for all of our students, God, not just in Cold Spring, but all across our state. Lord, as they are finishing up STAR tests, as they are finishing up so many things, we're praying for their ability to relax, their ability to do their best. And we're praying for our students and the people who are making decisions. Lord, as there's a struggle, Lord, we just pray for your strength. Lord, we pray for your wisdom this evening. And Lord, thank you for what has been a wonderful year as we get closer and closer to the end of this school year. Pray for wisdom this evening. We pray all this in your name. Amen. And now we have pledges. If you can remain standing, I think the pledges are high school.
Good evening. Presenting our pledges today are two of our top 10 students, Ms. Tess Phillips and Ms. Avery Tucker. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
We want student and staff recognition, starting with the junior high.
All right, tonight I have the pleasure of introducing you to Ms. Evelyn Sanchez. This is what our teachers had to say about her. They said this decision was clear. Evelyn consistently stands out in every way. She brings more than just a daily smile. She radiates encouragement, confidence, and a contagious positivity that impacts both her classmates and staff. Evelyn is kind, humble, and honest, always showing a high level of respect for others and herself. Every interaction with her is positive, and she often goes out of her way to help those in need. She exemplifies true leadership both in and out of the classroom as a student athlete, and member of the cheerleading team. She leads by example, following expectations, helping others to do the same, and representing Trojan pride with integrity. She's driven, hardworking, and determined to finish what she starts, always giving her absolute best without complaint. Instead of giving up, she seeks solutions and pushes forward with purpose and a great attitude. She truly did earn this honor tonight.
Okay, I just had to give you one.
Do we have anything inside that, or do we have any Thank a Trojan recognitions? Moving on to public comment. The board encourages comments about the district from members of the public. Anyone who has signed it.
We have high school real quick. Sorry.
Tonight, we wanted to make sure, and I'm gonna get my health science, they love when we make them come up here to the front. So all of our health science kiddos, if you wanna come up here and join me for the spotlight. So we wanted to make sure we took the time to recognize a lot of our health science students who have been working incredibly hard, as well as their two incredible health science teachers, Ms. Smith and Ms. Cook. We had 4 EKG certifications, 21 phlebotomy certifications, and 2 pharmacy technician certifications, with more testing tomorrow and on May 6th. So these numbers are only going to increase. But for EKG, our EKG certifications are Brady Coker, Olivia Lee, Liliana Furman, and Avery Tucker. Our phlebotomy certifications are Jaylee Dosey, Ashlyn Hawley, Lily Chester, Jocelyn Major, Luke McClure, Skylar McCown, Kaylee Overturk, Jacob Savell, Hayden Scott, Avery Tucker, Kelsey Turpin, Nadia Wakefield, Serenity Asbury, Brianna Purdy, Kaylee Jones, Emily Montar, Brady Coker, Ileana Furman, Olivia Lee, Shiloh Hernandez. And our pharmacy technician certifications are Miss Avery Tucker and Miss Tess Phillips. So again, we just wanted to make sure we celebrate all of our.
That's exciting. Certainly did not mean to skip that. It wasn't in my notes. So I'm excited to celebrate that as well. Board encourages comments about the district from members of the public. Anyone who has signed up to speak in advance of the meeting in accordance with the board procedures may do so at this time. The board asks that each participant's comments pertain to district business and be no longer than 5 minutes. Our first public comment tonight is Brittany Curry. Mrs. Elliott will keep time and she'll notify me of 1 minute left.
Do I need to hold the microphone or am I good?
Please hold the microphone.
Okay. Can I just leave it? Okay. Good evening, members of the board. My name is Brittany Curry. I teach students with dyslexia at CISD and currently serve on the academic calendar committee. I want to begin by thanking you, genuinely. Thank you for standing up for the employees of this district and for supporting what so many of us believe in, a 4-day instructional week that allows us to remain competitive when we cannot match surrounding districts' salary. After the March meeting, the atmosphere across our campuses was electric. Knowing that you had our backs, that you were willing to fight for what is best for our students and our staff and our community gave us hope. But after the special call meeting earlier in April, that changed. What was once a feeling of excitement has now turned into uncertainty. For reasons that remain unclear, COCISD has become a target of TEA, which has now issued a 3rd directive requiring you to accept the academic calendar presented at the special meeting on April 13th. Tonight may be your last opportunity to act before more serious measures are taken. Voting against proposed calendar could put your positions at risk. If that happens, our district could be placed under the control of appointed members who may not represent the values like praying at the beginning of the meeting, or priorities of our community. In addition, we risk losing our superintendent, who has stated multiple times that he will not work with an appointed board that does not share the same vision or goals. The progress Dr. Tolton has made through academic growth and rising accountability rating, driven by deep commitment to our students and community, will be difficult to sustain without his leadership. To preserve that momentum and protect your elected positions, I urge you to vote for the submitted calendar. Yes, we may lose some teachers if we cannot offer a 4-day week. But if TEA steps in and takes over, I believe we will see an even larger exodus. Few educators want to work under the level of oversight and scrutiny that TEA offers. We have a chance right now to prevent that. What really matters right now is what's going to happen tomorrow. This will be an opportunity to demonstrate to TEA that we are fully capable of achieving a passing score without intervention. Our 7th and 8th grade students will sit for the Math Star, followed by CIS on Wednesday. Our teachers and staff have poured their heart and soul and everything else they have into preparing our students, not only to perform well on this assessment, but to help our district achieve the B rating we are working so desperately hard for. At the end of the day, it comes down to this. We do not want to lose you as our board. We value you and we value the decisions you make on behalf of our district. We do not want to lose Dr. Tolton and his leadership that has significantly helped to enhance student achievement and build culture and climate for the staff at COCISD and the community. And most important, we do not want to surrender to control to the state, which would appoint members who have no connection to or concern for the unique needs and values of our district and our community. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Curry. Moving on to Joel Cassidy. I'm sorry.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Joel Cassidy. I'm the assistant principal at Coldspring-Oakhurst School. I served this district as administrator for 3 years and as a culinary teacher for 4 years prior to that. I've had the privilege of walking alongside our phenomenal teachers, our amazing students, and our caring families, and I've watched firsthand what happens when you commit to doing the hard work together. I completely agree with Ms. Brady. Tonight, I want to talk to you about perspective, because how we see this moment will determine everything that comes next. When you place a glass of water on the table, filled halfway, two people can look at the same glass and see two totally different perspectives. One sees lack, one sees potential. Same glass, same water, different perspective. The district has spent the last 5 years filling this glass, and I want you to understand what filling that looks like in real terms. That looks like high school projected to receive the B rating for the first time ever. That looks like all campuses projected to receive passing ratings for the first time ever. That scores increasing over a particular time period greater than we've ever seen. That is not luck. That is the result of intentional leadership, dedicated teachers, and a community that refuses to give up on our children. That glass is fuller today than it was 5 years ago, because people in this room made it so, and you trusted us to make it happen. But here's the truth: we cannot afford to ignore the line. We are standing at a tipping point. One failing campus report card, just one, despite the tremendous growth and effort. TPA has the authority to walk right through those doors and take over our entire district. Everything we've built, every percentage point we've grown, every relationship forged between a struggling student and a caring teacher, willingly and knowingly placed in someone else's hands. I don't say that to be dismissive. It's the truth. I say it because the people in the seats here deserve the full picture. And that includes that we've been given the directive not once, not twice, but 3 times to move to a 165-day calendar. 3 times, TEA has extended the path forward. 2 times we've not taken it. The third hangs in the balance. So what does 165 days actually mean for our students? That's 15 more additional days of instruction. 15 more mornings where a teacher can sit with the child who is behind and bring them forward. 15 more days to close the gaps that standardized tests are going to measure. And our children will carry those gaps with them in middle school, high school, and beyond. We are not guessing about what additional time can do. We've already proven we know how to use time well. We know how to move numbers. We simply need the opportunity to do so. I understand change is hard. I've done it for the past 3 years. I understand 15 days affects families, schedules, lives, both for good and bad. Those concerns are real and they deserve to be heard. But what is the cost of not changing? The glass we've spent 5 years filling doesn't just pause if TDA walks in. Pour it out, it gets set aside, it gets completely knocked off of the table. New leadership, new systems, new priorities imposed from the outside. In our community, we lose our voice in the education of our own students. That is the glass half empty. That's what being obstinate looks like from where I stand. The 165-day calendar, it's not a concession, it's not defeat. It is us choosing to protect what we've built. It is us looking at the glass fuller than it has ever been and saying, we are not done yet. We want more for our kids. While I don't live here in this district, these are my kids because I choose them. We want to keep pouring. Our teachers are ready, our students are ready, and after 5 years of climbing together, our community is ready. We've been asked to take this step 3 times, but tonight, be the night you say yes, not because you're forced to, but because you looked at our students, you looked at our staff, you looked at our progress, and you chose the glass half full. Vote yes for the 165-day calendar. Our students, community, everything that we've built, and everything that's still possible. Thank you.
Item 6A, campus reports.
We'll start the evening with Ms. Shalonda Washington from James Street Elementary.
Good evening, or I think it's evening, sorry. My student has made it and he was at the ballpark, so his parents made sure that he came in. But this is Malachi, he's a pre-K. His teacher has nominated him not once but twice, so that tells you a lot about this little baby's character. His teacher has to say that Malachi consistently exemplifies Trojan pride through his exceptional behavior, dedicated work ethic in both academics and athletics, and he has a genuine kindness toward his peers. He also gives me a hug every day, in the morning and in the afternoon, so he is a sweet little kid, and I think he deserves the award. Here's Malachi Sykes. He is JNC's Superintendent Student of the Month. Currently, we have 404 students. enrolled at JSD. The enrollment is up since the last board meeting. Our ADA is at 94.73%, and right now, everyone on campus is focused on our end of the year assessments. We will administer those assessments next week. This is an opportunity for students to showcase what they have learned, as well as teachers to showcase what they have taught. So we're eagerly, very excited about this. We do have a Pell rally that's scheduled for next Monday to encourage our students to do their best. We have field trips, field day. We have our first graduation for our pre-K and kindergarten students. And then we have scheduled our first and second grade awards ceremony. And we're gonna wrap the year up by having our campus-wide party. That's it.
Thank you, Ms. Washington. Next, we'll have Ms. Paul McClellan from Coldspring Intermediate.
Good evening. At CIS, our ADA was 95.18%. Our March Educator of the Month was Ms. Savannah Stoneberger. She happens to also be our Parent of the Year. She's known to advocate for students. She builds positive relationships to help promote a positive school climate. Ms. Stoneberger is always prepared to provide support when it's needed. To help support the campus math initiative, she worked with each grade level to determine overall needs. Based on the information she received, Ms. Stoneberger adjusted her instruction in the math lab to add an extra layer of math problem-solving practice for all of our CIS students. We appreciate everything she does, and we can definitely see why she was the Parent of the Year. Our April events include a lot of STAR testing. So we've done our reading test, we've done our science test. The math department is finishing up their enrollment math blitz. And on Wednesday, they're going to tackle the STAR test, and it'll bring our testing season to an end. And on May the 22nd, we're going to see how wonderful they've done. I don't know what the numbers are going to be, but I know what I've seen in classrooms, and that is teachers teaching and students learning. And I tell CIS all the time, I will bet on them no matter what. So I expect greatness on May the 22nd. Our main events include Teacher Appreciation Week next week. We have a perfect attendance party to Incredible Pizza on the 7th. The PE department is sponsoring our field day on the 12th. On the 13th, our 5th graders are out to LJH, and our 4th graders will be participating in Ag in the classroom. On the 14th, the 3rd graders are taking a trip to the Lufkin Zoo. On the 19th, the 4th graders are going to the Ocean Aquarium. Our 5th graders are off to Big Rivers, and then we get an end of the year awards. And our last day of school, we'll have our own little spring fun day. So as you can tell, we save all the fun until May.
Thank you, Ms. McClellan. Next, we'll have Ms. Brandy Keel from Junior High.
All right, good evening. Right now, we have 349 students enrolled in Lincoln Junior High. We got 3 new kiddos today, but I'm going to do something different because I don't have my script like normal. I have pictures for you guys. I want to thank you for everything you do for our district, and I know the last 2 months have been a little bit stressful for all of us, and I'm going to get emotional because these are my kids, okay? I want to share with you some happy moments from LJH. So we were thinking, how do you motivate kids to work on a standardized test, especially when the teacher has to stand in front of them right before they take the test and let them know there's no consequence, they cannot be retained. So we thought motivation. We took it to the kids and said, what do y'all want to do? If you grow them and they want to do a glow party. So by golly, we started planning it, okay? On June 11th, we'll get scores in June 11th or 12th. On June 13th, I've promised them that invitations will go out to their family. And on June 26th, myself, Ms. Lyle, Ms. Jenkins, and any of our teachers who want to join us are going to party at the school that night. We're going to have pizza, prizes, dancing. I've sent out a Google form asking them, what kind of concession snacks do you want? What kind of prizes? What kind of music? Build a clean playlist for me. And I've gotten so many responses, including crawfish and fertilized chicken eggs. So I think we're going to pass on that. So what does that look like when it comes into play for real? Because that's on June 26th, but you have to bring it alive. So our cheerleaders did, this is just great collaboration with kids, sorry, math and art showing off. I mixed them up. But this was Thursday morning, okay? Wednesday in the cafeteria, we had all of our 6th graders stand up and 7th and 8th graders cheered them on, and it was loud. My watch went off and told me it was too loud in there, okay? Thursday morning, Miss Lyle's dressed up. She's got a bubble gun. She's blasting music. Mr. Willie and Miss Jenkins are in the car rider line, bombarding students with bubbles. I'm not gonna show you the picture of me and my bubble gun, but we cheered and we got kids excited. Then we kept all 6th graders in the cafeteria. Again, strategies, working hard, glow and grow party, get excited, y'all. There is a pink wig in there, and I'm not gonna tell you who that is, but they danced in there a couple times. Then we high-fived them, shot them again with bubbles, and sent them to class. And what was amazing is when we were walking through classrooms, checking to make sure teachers were actively monitoring, walking around just picking trash up off the floor if they dropped their peppermint wrapper, letting kids know we were supporting them and they were there. Our kids were working harder than I've ever seen them work before, okay? We say fill out their scratch paper, and they did. So, 6th and 7th grade, ready to rock and roll. Miss Rickman, her handful of postcards that every kid should be getting in their mailbox today or tomorrow to let them know she loves you, you've got this going on. Not to mention the fact that several of these teachers sitting here today who aren't math teachers have been teaching math in their classrooms, including Ms. Holman. We watched brain dump videos and she helped kids there. No clue what's going on at this point in time. Okay. Kids worked hard, that's what's amazing. Climate and culture was one of the things Ms. Robinson went on over to try and build back up. And this was our last PD day. We ate lunch outside, set up cornhole boards. The teachers challenged each other to connect four and hopscotch, etc. They had a blast. Another thing is just the kids we have are amazing. These are a few of our kids that we took over to the intermediate school to talk about course selections. Two of them played instruments, 3 of them acted something out. And then something I really want to brag on our children about is we had a problem. Mr. Gearhart will back me up and tell you that restrooms were being destroyed by gentlemen at the junior high, and I can't go in there and monitor that. I can't fix it. And if we don't know a window to watch cameras, there's no solution. But it was ridiculous, and I was defeated. So I was talking to a group of 8th graders when I was subbing in their class one day, and they said, well, Ms. Kill, let us sit outside and monitor the bathroom. And I was like, I can't do that. I thought, okay, maybe I can. So I got a list of names of kids, and over the weekend I pulled a bunch of my boys' schedules, and I found electives or a math lab or art lab, something that they could come out of because they were willing to, and we made a Trojan leader schedule. And these kiddos have taken us from so much damage to one incident being reported. They said they know after each student goes in and they go in and check, make sure it's still clean, nothing's broken. One kiddo left toilet paper on the floor and they went straight to an office staff member and said, Miss, this kid right here, he left trash on the floor. And so because of our kids, we've solved a problem, and I just want to celebrate that and tell y'all thank you for your support. Here's just another one, walking throughout the campus, doing walkthroughs and such. The kids were like, hey, let me push that for you. And so you are representing amazing staff members and students, and I just want to tell y'all thank y'all one more time.
Thank you, Ms. Kill. Next we'll have Ms. Courtney Robinson from Coldspring-Oakhurst High School.
Good evening, everyone. At COHS, we have 432 students reporting on our ADA. We have still been doing our attendance incentives every 8 days, and this week we will be celebrating on Thursday after our basketball tournament fundraiser. We will be celebrating a winning grade level with Kona Ice that we are purchasing for everyone. Our campus updates, we have been working on interviewing and hiring for the 26-27 school year. I'm proud to announce that we have hired for both math and culinary at this point. As far as our academics and instructional updates, EOCs, we have taken our English 1, 2, biology, and U.S. history, and I will tell you, I have heard all of my other colleagues say, our kids have taken their time more this year than I have ever witnessed. They have worked so hard and pushed it to the very last minute, taking their exams seriously. We have Algebra 1 left to take this Wednesday. We have been really focusing in on math. As we all know, that's been our focus for the district. We've had a tutor in every day with our Algebra 1 class through Gear Up. We have hosted a Algebra 1 boot camp today from 12 to 4 p.m., again through Gear Up, very similar to what we did a few weeks ago with English 2. And the last 3 Fridays, we have offered math enrichment from 9 to 12 every Friday with Ms. Whitaker, and we've had approximately 10 students coming up for small group time with her. So again, we're hoping those really help, and we see that result on our Wednesday's exam. We are still working, Ms. Casso and myself, with our individualized graduation committee and ensuring that our students, I announced that a few board meetings ago, we have roughly 11 students that are working to finish projects to meet graduation requirements, and so those are coming to an end as we get to their Monday, May 4th deadline. Gear Up has been busy. This last month, they traveled to Texas A&M campuses for their veterinary and biomedical educational complex tour, as well as a STEM tour at SFA. In May, we will actually be hosting with the Army here a gaming truck that's going to be set up in our staff parking lot for students, as well as traveling to A&M Galveston, a Port of Houston tour, a classroom takeover financial literacy with MJ Bridges, and a Dakin Park STEM tour. We have been very busy when it comes to athletics and any extracurricular events. Our recent accomplishments are our tennis teams. We had district champions in boys doubles, girls singles, and mixed doubles. They competed at the regional tournament in College Station recently. Our softball team is the bi-district champions, and when I say won, I mean they won. They won 2 games 15-0, and their second game was 8-1 when they played Hitchcock last week. Our golf, our girls were the district champions as well and got to travel to compete at the regional tournament. In track, we had multiple district champions that then competed at area track meet that are now advancing on to the regional track meet this Friday in Huntsville. In FFA, we had district champions in forestry who competed in their state contest, as well as livestock judging state contest this past week in College Station. Sports that are still competing. Softball has now moved on to round 2 of area playoffs versus Central Pollock, and they will play Thursday in Big Sandy, Friday in Nacogdoches. Baseball is playing their round 1 of playoffs Thursday and Friday of this week. They will play at Katy Horton Ranch versus bowling. We have our regional bass fishing tournament that takes place on Lake Conroe this Friday and Saturday as well. Our FFA members are in a meeting currently. They travel to Lubbock this weekend for their state entomology contest. We have county fair validations already taking place this weekend for September. They're in the midst of district degree checks, speaking contests, district and area conventions, ag in the classroom, a very busy next few weeks for them. Our UIL is hosting their one-act play performance tomorrow night in our cafeteria at 6 p.m. as you're all invited to view that. We hosted prom a few weeks ago on the 18th, and our upcoming banquets for May are the athletic banquet on the 7th, our scholarship night on the 12th, FFA banquet on the 14th, our spring band concert on the 19th, and on the 20th, we will have our HOSA banquet and pinning ceremony. Last week, we also got to celebrate our top 10 with one of the best top 10 banquets that I have seen in a while. And we are underway with prepping for finals, senior week, and graduation, so we are not busy at all at COHS.
Thank you, Ms. Rose.
Good evening. For those of you that don't know, I'm Becky. I'm the new Health Services Director. I'm just going to give you a few health services updates. So right now we have 4 full-time staff members. We have a few sub-staff, and I have been approved to have an LVN at each campus, which is huge for me as a nurse. So I'm super excited for those changes to come. Right now, JSC sees on average about 12 students per day, and we send 1 or 2 of them home. CIS is the same. LJH, we see about 11 students, and maybe 1 goes home. And then the high school sees about 7. About 2 of them go home each day as well, just for different things. Past events, we had the Fantastic Teeth Club for the first grade. The Masonic Lodge came and helped with that presentation. That was a lot of fun. I think the students really enjoyed it. We had our Shack Color Run a few weeks ago. Upcoming events for our Professional Day on Friday. Our Texas Mobile Imaging will come and do pre-registration for preventative screenings. Our TRS ambassador is going to come and talk to us about the different things that our insurance has to offer us as a district. The Rose is scheduled to come out on October 21st for mobile mammograms. We will be doing vision and hearing screenings at the beginning of the year, and spinal screenings as well for our 5th and 7th grade girls and our 8th grade boys. Any questions from the health services side?
Okay, I'm Amanda Dunaway, I'm Child Nutrition Director. Tonight I'll be giving the SHAC, the School Health Advisory Council, update. So, what SHAC is, it is a group of parents, community members, school staff, and students who work together to strengthen the connection between health and learning. They provide recommendations to the school district on coordinated health, school health programs and policy. So every school district in the state of Texas is required to establish a SHAC. So the purpose of this SHAC is to ensure all local community values are reflected in the district's health education curriculum and to support incentives that promote lifelong wellness for students by addressing health-related topics. SHAC helps improve academic achievement and overall student success. The primary responsibility is review and recommend curriculum for nutrition and child nutrition programs, physical activity and fitness, health education curriculum, mental health, and student wellness. Also to assist in developing and reviewing the district's local school wellness policy. Membership. Majority of our members should be parents and guardians of students in the district. Also district staff, community members, and health professionals. Why SHAC matters. They support student success and academic achievement, ensure community voices in district decisions, helps maintain compliance with state and federal requirements, promotes healthy habits for long life success. So the requirements for reporting, we meet annually and report to the school board. We do the SHAC activities, the recommendations, and progress on wellness goals. Compliance and accountability helps ensure compliance with the state and federal education and wellness policies. Documentation must be maintained for audit and reviews. SHAC is required to advise, review, and support student health programs while ensuring they reflect community values and meet legal requirements. So a few challenges that SHAC kind of faces yearly is recruiting parent members. Like I mentioned before, majority of them must be parents. So we do have a couple of them. And then constant participation. Regular attendance, along with their roles and responsibilities, understanding that. Scheduling and logistics is probably our number one. We've tried having meetings in the afternoon. We've had them during school hours. It's a little mixed. And of course, trying to balance the community values. So finding diverse perspectives, compliance and documentation, the meetings, the number of meetings that are required, maintaining the agenda minutes and reports, ensuring alignment with state and federal requirements. So one thing that I am, Ms. Cindy shared this with us last night. So this is a workshop that's coming up, and it is for SHAC and our district wellness policies. So myself, Becky, Tammy Caldwell, for sure are attending, and this is going to be in July. So excited about that. We get to take our local wellness policy, which if anyone would like to take a look at it, we can go to the district website, Department's Health Services, under Policy and Forms. Also, we did our 4th annual color run, so these are a few pictures of everything that we did. And then, of course, if you would like to join, anyone in the audience, we did put some flyers out there, so just follow the instructions. There is an application on our website.
This is heavy on the parents.
Yeah, heavy on the parents. Any questions? Thank you.
Good evening. We'll run through this relatively quickly. Just give you a brief update of where we are as far as the business operations of the district currently. Cheryl has an update somewhere.
All right, there's a page down.
Page down.
Right there.
There we go. Quick summary of activities that are currently going on. We rolled out Frontline's time and attendance solution this month, undertaking that. It's a more robust package than what the district has been utilized. It allows us some better analytics and some better tracking of both attendance and then also timekeeping, which will come out in more detail in the next couple of months. It is roughly the same cost as what we are currently utilizing for the product for what we consider to be a superior product available to us. It is not without cost, as we do have to continue the existing contract for another year for the prior contract that we had. However, the solution offerings to us are considered to be worthwhile for that expenditure. We are largely completed with LBB submissions at this point in time. I think everybody got a pretty exhaustive experience with them, both from board and from a district level. There are a few outstanding items that we're working through with them. We anticipate seeing that report back in a few months. There will be a draft copy that we'll discuss, and we'll have a public presentation of that as well. We'll see how that ends up. There are definitely some opportunities for improvement for us as we go forward with that. We'll see what they come back with, and hopefully it'll allow us to develop some additional systems that can make operations more efficient and more structured. SHAR's cost, which is Medicaid reimbursement for special education, that cost report is currently underway. This is actually for last year. That will not be a significant dollar amount. In prior years, that could be up to $250,000. Those days are gone, largely due to the reimbursement rates associated with the Medicare reimbursements to the state of Texas Health and Human Services. So we're probably looking at something in the very low 5-figure range. It will definitely not be a 6-figure payment like we've been accustomed to in prior years. And that has a reflection across the state, and that is something that districts are heavily evaluating as to whether they will continue going forward in subsequent years. It is our current debate as to whether COCISD will participate in that in future years due to the cost associated with performing it versus the revenues generated. This past week, we had the Region 6 PEMS division come in and provide an audit of our PEMS. That report is pending. They'll present all findings and recommendations to us as to how we can improve those operations and flows of data. As everyone is well aware, PEMS is becoming increasingly important for all of our data submissions to the state of Texas, and much of that is done effectively in real time. When I first started in this about 18 years ago, when we first did this, that was essentially 3 to 4 submissions a year. That number is now well into the double digits that we do, and it has gotten to the point where the summary of finance from TEA is actually more accurate than some of our internal modelings at this point in time, which is a pretty unique experience for me. But with each and every one of those data input elements of it, it becomes more critical for us to make sure our processes are refined and that we're providing accurate data as quickly as possible to them. Quite candidly, TEA knows before y'all do. what our data looks like in this point in time because of the way that is structured. That's not exclusive to COCISD, that is every district in the state of Texas now. Other thing that we're working cooperatively with the police, the technology department, and the maintenance department is for TEDVA. It's essentially an audit that comes up next Tuesday. They'll be here. Jason's team is working to do some things in-house. We're working with some contractors. Chief Allen especially is to get some of our elements addressed, the preliminary findings that we're aware of. And then we're also working with MGA, the architect firm, and the development of some of our maps to being as much as compliance as well. We've met with several vendors and we're in discussions with TDA on a fairly routine basis as to how we can best address that. There will be some cost associated with that. We are aware of it. We're trying to minimize that cost as we go through. Other element, and this just came in today, Tammy, we got that letter. The TURP grant is pending final determination. We have been preliminarily notified that we will receive roughly $125,000. 126, okay. $1,000, that would permit us to essentially cover a little bit over $60,000 per bus for 2 buses. There is a caveat in that letter that we received, as Tammy candidly pointed out to me. It states that pending funding availability to TCEQ, they will gladly provide that to us should we elect to purchase buses. We believe we have somewhere between an 18-month to 2-year window with which to make those purchases. We will see how that proceeds, and then we'll come back to you and make recommendations as to how we might proceed with the purchase of buses, should that funding truly become available. We talked briefly last month about the revenue adjustments for the foundation school funding. There was a pretty substantial change in how the state of Texas calculated some of the frozen values and the frozen taxes. We saw a pretty significant negative hit associated with that. Some districts saw a pretty significant positive hit for that. They have since made revisions. It has not changed dramatically from what we were looking at a month ago. Ours is pretty well tightened in. We've consulted with the appraisal district. They've reviewed with some of their consultants. Everybody is in agreement at this point in time that the numbers are more accurate and more reflective of our current situation for the 25-26 school year. That does take a reduction in our state aid. It's a combination of both your property tax, local tax revenue, and then also the state aid. I'm actually kind of splitting the difference at this point in time. You'll see a budget amendment in a few minutes. We're tightening in on that, but as you're all aware of, that total glass, we used Joel's analogy a while ago, that total glass is our revenue picture for it. Part of that is local tax dollars, we'll call that water, and then the air portion of that is the state funding that makes up to fill up the rest of that glass. That's a self-balancing element depending on what it is. We budgeted pretty conservatively as we entered into this school year. We are seeing some reductions in the revenue picture. That said, the adjustments are not as drastic as potentially a full $1 million impact would be to us for current year. We look at current year revenue adjustments. I'm adjusting the tax revenue down by about $375,000 currently. I was carrying a little bit heavier on that side than I was on state revenue, so we'll take that amount down. I reduced it last month for federal revenue from anticipated national forest receipts. Last year, that was a pretty insignificant amount. They sent us a check last week for a little bit over $45,000. We were quite happy to receive that, so we'll move that number back up. We'll look at expenditure adjustments. I'm going to go ahead and increase the expenditures to function 41 for district administration by about $115,000. That is largely due to unforeseen legal and administrative costs that we have incurred since December. We also have additional costs associated with function 52. That's going to be your security. That's the additional police officer that we hired. That is not the entirety of that. The other element inside that 50,000 is also going to be associated with some of those additional security expenditures that we talked about that were as a result of planning for the TEDVA. We have received some preliminary quotes back to address that. We have more coming in this week. 50,000 will not cover it, quite honestly. We will work through that and utilize other budgets as we can to see where we end, and then we'll come back and finish that out sometime during the course of this summer. We will have approximately 90 days from the date of that report for us to proactively pursue that. That puts us all the way through the course of the summer from when we receive that. So we've got some time to work through that. We do anticipate, based off current projections, that we will have a deficit for the current fiscal year, 25-26. Much of that is going to be contingent upon how we decide to utilize some of our capital outlay expenditures over the course of the summer, and a few other elements. We are working extremely fervently to properly manage our variable costs associated with primarily transportation and then the maintenance operations at this point. Those are the big ticket controllable elements for us, and we're having to make some decisions as we go into there. We look forward to the 26-27 year. We haven't really had much discussion on that. We received preliminary appraisal values this morning from the chief appraiser. We have initiated that with our consultants for planning for summary finance for next year. We'll start doing ratio analysis on that to tighten in on where we think the initial values are going to be and what kind of tax revenue that will generate for the 26-27 year. We are building our revenue projections on a lower enrollment number than what we built it on for the 25-26 year. We've seen that revenue stream decrease over the course of the year as we've seen a reduction in both our student ADA percentage attendance and then also a lower enrolled number over the course of the year from where our snapshot date was. So we've contracted that slightly as we look into the forward year. In child nutrition, depending on the calendar that is adopted and how that proceeds into the 26-27 year, there is a potential that that will actually increase revenues to, if we were to adopt an additional instructional day calendar that increase those number of days, that potentially benefits the child nutrition because that's more meals served to our students over the course of the year. There are associated variable costs that come with that increase as well when we look into that. But what you're primarily looking at is it's more days and more kids eating, which is the primary revenue driver of that program. We look at expenditure planning. I'll skip over the first bullet and we'll come back to that. Departmental budget sessions have largely been completed. Most departments are not looking for any significant changes. We have made some considerations for some of the costs that we'll have to evaluate for, primarily to do with safety and security. And then there are some other elements that we may have to make some capital outlays as we look into next year. And a few sustainable recurrent subscriptions that we're going to have to decide how we will proceed with. There's a large portion of some of those expenditures being based on the outcome of the May 2nd bond election. That alters some of our capital facility purchases. That also alters our capital purchases scenario for the transportation department when we look forward. We'll talk about a few other areas as we look into that 26-27 year, and right now that has a strong possibility, depending on what we do with compensation, of being a deficit year, hopefully not too significantly. When we take into our capital expenditures, that will again go back to what we look at from the bond. That will also evaluate how we decide if we're going to make purchases or not for next year. We may have to curtail some of those expenditures as we move into the next year to make sure that we conserve our cash capital and we can put that towards human resources and the expenditures associated there. The Central Appraisal District, the CAD, has been advised as of this morning that COCISD is not in a position where we can support an additional budgetary outlay to them beyond what their current budget is. They understand that. They've already indicated to us that they intend to refund money from the prior year based off their audit, and based on that discussion this morning, it seems that we can live within the current needs of the budget that's been put before them for the 25-26 year. That is a similar sentiment that's been echoed by Shepherd ISD at this point too, so they are aware of that. We will work to manage utilities, although that is increasingly challenging. Fuel is a wild card for us. I'll be honest with you, we probably will not put as much into the reserve budget next year as we have this year, but we will try as accurately as possible to reflect where we look forward to as far as actual fuel usage next year. Again, that's probably the greatest variable factor when we look at our school day operations, and how that might change based on the calendar is going to be largely associated with transportation expenses as we go into the upcoming year. And then insurance has increased substantially. It is anticipated that it will increase substantially. Again, we'll work through how we're going to pursue that as we go into the next year. Probably going to make some deductible and coverage adjustments in the best interest of the district as far as maintaining financial viability. Circle back up to that first bullet real quick. When we talk about what we're looking at, and this is largely dependent on how the calendar is adopted, regardless of how this comes out, that will impact how we make determinations for compensation plan. Not so much in aggregate, but it's probably going to look more as we go into how we structure compensation increases for next year. There are some that will see some significant shifts based off the nature of it. There are some that will not see a significant gains when we look into this. We have to take into consideration the market competitiveness that the district has in some of our surrounding areas. That's something everybody is acutely aware of. I believe 2 of our staff members have already alluded to that tonight. 78% of our budget, the general fund, comes into staff compensation. We have to have a calendar. We turn that calendar over to SASB, HR. They will work for our compensation plans. We're already in process with that. The huge elements that we have to take into consideration is our professional staff, both our teaching staff and then also our staff that looks beyond the teaching staff, your campus administrators, your counseling staff, your special education staff, your other certified professional personnel that, in some cases, quite honestly, at this point in time, would be better served to be saved in the classroom, potentially earning TRA, teacher retention allotment, or teacher incentive allotment. We have to make some pretty substantial adjustments there. Probably is more significantly there than we're going to have to look at in some other areas. We are cognizant of every individual in the district, and we will make adjustments accordingly as we can to best serve the hours and the days that they perform for the district, regardless of what that outcome will be. But that is a tremendous factor as we build into those calculations going forward in the next few weeks to run. Finally, we'll round out with the bond. There are still handouts and signage available. If anybody needs a yard sign, we do have those. We certainly want to promote awareness for everybody and anybody that we can. We have satisfied our required notices and postings throughout the physical locations of the school district, as well as on our media and our newspaper postings. We have the affidavits already returned for those. So we've got that piece covered. Early voting ends tomorrow, April the 28th. Election date is May the 2nd. As of this evening at 5 o'clock, Ms. Hillard, we have 520 individuals that have voted in the COCISD bond and school board elections. Of those, approximately 100 of those are a combination of employee and guardians of the known roles that we have within the district. The other 400 plus are actually going to be individuals that are community members that have no direct formal tie to the district, other than being invested community members or taxpayers of our district. So that's where we currently stand with that. Would strongly encourage, for the interest of this, that as we continue and we hear the voice of the public, that if you have the opportunity to make sure any and everyone is informed of the bond election and of the school board election for May 2nd, to encourage participation in that so we can get a good canvas of what our community supports. That is all I have. Does anyone have any questions? Appreciate your time.
All right, good evening. So we heard some about Gear Up for high school. Gear Up at junior high is going very well as well. I was going to throw out a couple of good statistics for you. The class of 2030 has 110 students. I know Miss, she back there? Good, Miss Tally. Miss Tally has done a great job with them, and she gave us some good news. 62 of those 110 have taken a college tour. 97 of the 110 have been on a job site visit. And 94 of those 110 students have participated in some kind of tutorial through Gear Up. Upcoming visits they have are Texas A&M in Galveston, the Holocaust Museum, Houston Public Media, the Port of Houston, and a trip to SFA. For our youngest and newest member of our Gear Up group, our cohort, our class of 2031, they are going to go to the Health Museum, the Houston Public Media, NASA and visit Lee College, and also go to UTSA and also visit the Alamo. So they've got a lot going on this year, and we appreciate Ms. Talley providing all those opportunities for our kids. Ms. Casso and I have been looking at dual credit providers. We've had some issues with Lone Star this year that we're trying to work out. It's always a hard, it's a tough decision to change providers, just because every time you change a provider, you add a transcript to a student, right? So they have to go do all of the transcripts. So we're really trying to only have them come up with maybe 2 transcripts that they have to combine for colleges instead of trying to have anybody have 3. So we are going to go with Lone Star College next year and see if Ms. Casso, I know, has expressed some of the concerns and some of the frustrations, see if they can work with us. Another opportunity though that has come up, and is a new program, is Sam Houston has a Polytech program that's also dual credit, and that looks to be pretty promising too. So all of these new dual credit opportunities, we're trying to really get all the information before we just go with one as they begin their program. Lone Star College it will be for next year. For Title IX, we have one current investigation going on. We have done lots of testing. We have had 0 major irregularities that I've had to give to the state this year, which is phenomenal. So a shout out to our testing coordinators, Ms. Sandy, Ms. Bogner, Ms. LeBlue. They have done a wonderful job of training our teachers. Our teachers have been great at monitoring, but not too much monitoring, all of the things that testing. So that is fantastic news. We've also been busy. Mark Strauss, we've contracted with him to come work with the high school, since they have a new counselor who has not been through the great task of building a master schedule. He has come and worked with them and shown the process. So they got started on that last week. He's going to come out to the junior high and work on the junior high and teach that new group the master scheduling there too. So the hope is that we're optimizing teacher time and provide as many class opportunities for students. It's a little tricky in a smaller district when you may have one class period, like one class of dual credit. Because sometimes the kids have to make the choices of, are they going to do this or this, because it's only offered once. So our goal is always to make sure that we schedule those classes in a prime position so that kids have the most opportunities possible. Teacher appraisals should be completed with summatives evaluation happening this week, so that'll wrap up our 25-26 teacher appraisal year. Summer school letters to students should be going out this week and next for K through 8 students. The high school, they typically know what's going on as far as they will be served here for credit recovery if they have credits to recover, and or after test scores come back, because then they will be eligible to come and get that tutorial to retest then at the end of June. That is all I have for right now. Oh, no, we are also setting up summer and back to school trainings. We have EduHero that usually helps us. It's an online platform that helps us with our compulsory trainings. It's the Stop the Bleed, or not the Stop the Bleed, that's Chief Allen's. It's, what's the one we always have to do? Bloodborne pathogens, those regular ones that we have to do yearly. And so we will get those set up and sent out to teachers by the end of the week as well, so that if they want to get started on those or do those over the summer, they absolutely can. They will also be given time to do it on the days that we come back. If they choose to do that, if they have already got them done, then that turns into a work day. So that's how that will work this year. That's all I've got for you tonight.
Just going to go over a few quick updates this evening. Today marked our 131st instructional day. We currently have 18 days remaining in the academic year. just a friendly reminder of how much the school year matters and how far we've come as a district throughout the academic year. This week marks a pivotal week for our district as our scholars will sit for the math STAR test. We've only had one STAR test administered so far, and that was 6th grade mathematics last week. Of course, we'll start tomorrow with 7th grade math, and then we'll finish out the week. I'll go over those dates momentarily. Overall, from a district standpoint, mathematics is our priority content area, and as these results will carry significant weight in this year's academic accountability outcomes. I really want to extend my gratitude to all of our teachers, all of our testing coordinators for all of their diligent planning throughout the testing accountability season, which has made all the difference as far as our test administrations and making sure our students' environments in which they test has been fantastic. So just want to share that information there. On the district side, just going over a few numbers, current enrollment as of last Thursday is 1,535 students. GSC has 404. Coldspring Intermediate has 339. The junior high campus has 349. And the high school campus has 443. Our year-to-date ADA is 93.7. Of course, we have a goal that was set back in August for this year of 95% or higher. District goals have been established for the academic year. Of course, right now we're in the middle of state assessment season, and we have set goals for every campus at the onset of the academic year, with the district moving to be ready to be at the conclusion of the year. The intermediate elementary campus, those campuses are paired, 80 for those campuses. Lincoln Junior High is 75, and the high school in 82. Right now, this time of year, really one thing we focus on all year is really strengthening communication. We have sent out our correspondence in regards to enrollment being open for the upcoming school year, as well as just communication for end of year activities and events by campus. A couple of things I really wanted to highlight, and I've talked about this, but I'll spend a little bit of time talking about this evening, really give everybody an update on some academic accountability information that is critically important. So from a district standpoint, of course, we have set goals. From a satisfactory standpoint, this is a year for us to be able to make sure all of our campuses are rated by the Texas Educational Agency at the conclusion of the year. I say that being that right now, from a district standpoint, the recruitment and stability that we have in our staff, especially in critical areas across the district, it's our first time from a district standpoint, we have not had to do any mid-year assignments in critical tested subject areas. So just wanted to highlight that. From a district standpoint, our district has never had every campus rated satisfactorily by TEA since the A3F accountability system was implemented. And I say that with the momentum that we currently have and right now building that. Of course, there's comments that come up from time to time as far as systemic change and transformational change. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a build-up. It's a system. And making sure from a district standpoint, we have the systems, we have the level of urgency, the level of focus that's in place, and also making sure we have a high-performance culture across the district. And thankfully, I have been a part of that. I've been a part of being able to be at the junior high campus all year. So there's nobody in the room that's able to see the level of what I see across campuses. In the midst of that, seeing the incredible work happening across all of our campuses, especially at junior high, because I've been at that campus for 131 days. So we'll be able to see that and show our results from a district standpoint. The final date for us to receive ratings is June the 11th, June 12th. June 11th, actually, I'm going over to get our preliminary data. I have a meeting set up over in Huntsville for that. Our first round of data will be back on Friday, May 22nd. That will be for Restart ELCs at the high school. And then on Friday, May 29th, we'll receive our third grade results. A couple of things really wanted to highlight from a district standpoint as far as ratings. Our current rating, this is from the last academic year, is currently a 69. That's 1 point away from satisfactory. JSE and CIS, a 74. That marks the second highest rating for both of those campuses. The highest rating was back in 2022, which those campuses were both a 79. Those campuses are paired. We have a goal set for those campuses to be an 80 at the conclusion of the year. Junior high campus, we have a goal of 75. Of course, on the accountability side, that resets the accountability is a 70. But I want to make sure that everybody understands as far as takeover, I know that word is tossed around. The junior high campus has to, if nothing else, improve by 1 point. 1 point at the conclusion of the year. So if there's anyone that's talking about takeover, the campus cannot be a 5-year F. What I think everybody has to understand as well, on the accountability side, there was litigation that was going on in 2023 and 2024. Litigation. There were districts that filed lawsuits against TEA about the new accountability metrics that rolled out just 1 year of students returning from COVID. So I just wanted to really touch on that really quickly. So you had 2023 was the first year of your STAR 2.0 accountability system. That was in litigation. Those results were released in April of 2025. Then in August of 2025, they released 24 and 25 results. And of course, that prompted state intervention. With our junior high campus, being our high focus campus and the campus that we've been targeting to improve. So you had 3 years of underperformance. So with the accountability system, you had 2023 and 2024 being litigated. So then once those results were released, that prompted intervention, you have 3 years of unsatisfactory, but then to mark a 4th year, from an accountability standpoint, they went back and captured a D that the campus received back in 2019. So that's what prompted the level of intervention we're currently on. So just wanted to show that information. We have a goal set for 75. We'll be able to show the results. A 70 resets that. But then, like I said, the bottom line is the campus cannot be an F. And I've seen the incredible work happening on campus for 131 days. And I'm very excited to see the results when those results come out. So just wanted to show that information. Again, to date and I just want to make sure this is also stated as well, last year marked the best overall academic year for the district since 2018, which will actually underneath A through F, period. So I just wanted to make sure everybody's aware of that. Every campus also improved as well. The intermediate elementary campus improved by 11 points. Actually 15 points in the last 2 years. The high school, 20 points in the last 2 years. And even though the junior high did not improve enough to be rated, the campus did improve by 4 points. It actually improved by 6 points. We got hit with a penalty cap at the junior high campus because we had 2 domains that did not meet the 60 point threshold. So what happens is if you don't meet that 60 point threshold, you actually get a defaulted or a forced 59. So I just want to make sure everybody's aware of that. It was a forced 59. We have obviously room for improvement from a district standpoint, but I just want to make sure everybody's understanding that. Without the penalty cap for Lincoln Junior High School during the 24-25 academic year, the district score would have been a 71. Those 2 points not only hurt the campus, it also hurt the district. So just wanted to share that. Also note where we rank also, of course, there are a lot of areas where we compete from a district standpoint. My focus is on competing first and foremost in the classroom. So I'll share some additional numbers that way everyone has that, where our district ranks amongst other neighboring districts. The highest district in the area is currently New Waverly ISD. They're currently at 84. Willis ISD is a 77. Tarkington ISD is 73. Livingston ISD is 72. Our district sits at a 69. Trinity ISD is a 68. Huntsville is a 68. Crockett is a 67. Splendora is a 67. Shepherd's is 67. And Cleveland is a 59. So I say that to say out of the 11 districts that are noted, we're currently ranked fifth. Of course, we have room for improvement, and we will improve from a district standpoint. Again, preliminary ratings are expected by Friday at the latest, Thursday at the earliest, June 11th. Friday, June 12th, the latest, and I will send those results out to all staff, and also send that information out to our parents as well. Sorry about that. Just some additional communication. Again, I talked about this earlier. We will resume, start testing tomorrow at with Lincoln Junior High School with 7th grade math. On Wednesday, we have 3rd through 5th grade math at the intermediate campus. And also on Wednesday, we will have 8th grade math, and also 8th grade algebra, as well as algebra here at the high school. A couple of important dates that have been mentioned this evening. Friday, May 1st is a professional development day. Next week is Teacher Appreciation Week. And also the week that we will announce our elementary and secondary Teacher of the Year, our Teacher of the Year for every campus. James Shea Elementary School, Ms. Courtney Bennett. Coldspring Intermediate School, Ms. Crystal Campbell. Lincoln Junior High School, Ms. Alicia Plok. And here at Coldspring-Oakhurst High School, Ms. Ann Gallmeyer. Just a couple of other important updates as well. Monday, May 25th is Memorial Day, there's no school. Our next regular board meeting is on Tuesday, May 26th. The last day of instruction is Thursday, May 28th. On Friday, May 29th, we'll have our service awards here at the high school in the cafeteria starting at 11:30 a.m. And then on Friday evening, we'll be celebrating our graduating seniors with our graduation ceremony that will start at 7:30 p.m. At Berlin Bradford Stadium. Wow.
Our State Board of Education rule completing required continuing education each year of service is a basic obligation and expectation of any sitting board member. As presiding officer of the board, I'm required to announce the name of each member who has completed the required continuing education, has exceeded the required continuing education, and is deficient in meeting the required continuing education. The requirements for training are measured as of the first anniversary of the date of the trustee's election or appointment, or 2-year anniversary of his or her previous training when applicable. There are 8 training areas for board member continuing education. Number 1, local district orientation. Number 2, orientation to the Texas Education Code. Number 3, post-legislative update to the Texas Education Code. Number 4, team building. Number 5, additional continuing education. Number 6, evaluating student academic performance and setting goals. Number 7, identifying and reporting abuse, trafficking, and other maltreatment of children. Number 8, school safety. To the extent applicable to each board member, I will announce the completion or deficiency as to required training. Post-legislative update to the Texas Education Code. The following members are deficient in meeting the required post-legislative update to the Texas Education Code due 4/30/2026. William Baker, Bertha Bradford, Paul Buchanan, Alec McGowan, Dale Richards, Tony Sewell. Team building. The following members have completed the annual team building training: William Baker, Berlin Bradford, Paul Buchanan, Tony Sewell, Alec McGowan, MJ Coker, Dale Richards. Additional continuing education. The following board members have completed the additional continuing education requirements: MJ Coker. The following board members are deficient: William Baker, Berlin Bradford, Paul Buchanan, Alec McGowan, Dale Richards, Tony Sewell. Evaluating student academic performance and setting goals. The following board members have completed the required biennial training on evaluating student academic performance and setting goals: William Baker, Berlin Bradford, Paul Buchanan, MJ Coker, Alec McGowan, Dale Richards, Tony Sewell. Identifying or reporting abuse, trafficking, and other maltreatment of children. The following board members have completed the biennial training on identifying and reporting abuse, trafficking, and other maltreatment of children: Paul Buchanan, MJ Coker, Berlin Bradford. The following board members are deficient: William Baker, Alec McGowan, Dale Richards, Tony Sewell. School safety. The following board members have completed the biennial training on school safety: MJ Coker. The following board members are deficient: William Baker, Berlin Bradford, Paul Buchanan, Alec McGowan, Dale Richards, and Tony Sewell. Moving on to item 7, consent agenda items. Do I have a motion that we accept the consent agenda items as presented?
Motion made.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? All in favor of accepting the consent agenda items as submitted? Motion passes. Moving on to item 8A, discussion and possible action, if any, to rescind the board action adopting a 150-day instructional calendar for the 2026-2027 school year. Before we can discuss this, I need a motion and a second. Do I have a motion?
Motion made.
I have a motion and a second made by Ms. Coker. Is there any questions or discussion?
Just point out, we have to change the calendar
no matter what, due to the DOI being rescinded, correct?
Not technically, because, we have to change the calendar, but we don't have to rescind the action of a 150-day calendar. We would have to adopt a different calendar if we stuck with 150 days. Is that
Correct. It's my understanding we have to rescind it to adopt another.
right? And even if we were staying at 150 days, if we were just adjusting the calendar, would we have to rescind that action?
That's the way I understand it, that we would have to rescind it before we could adopt any other calendar.
Okay.
I would like to give some implications for not adopting 165 days. Sure. Failure to adopt would be loss of our DOI. Our DIF grant has already been on hold, which our DOI has already incurred. And heightened risk of innovation from TEA due to the board's non-compliance with state directives, loss of local control over critical district decisions, including academic, calendar, curriculum, and financial management, appointment of state authorized board of managers to assume the governance of the district, appointment of state selected superintendent, who may not have an established relationship with the district students, staff, or community. District has made meaningful academic progress under Brian Tolton. Failure to act at this time, that progress at risk may result in a disruption of leadership and continuity with the strong community connections that have supported the student's success. Restoration of local control following state intervention is a lengthy process and it takes several years.
And I understand every bit of that. Okay. And yes, there's some implicating factors there. Dr. Garza, would you please approach the podium? Because I have a few questions I'd like to ask you, and I'd like everybody to be able to see your response. Okay, you're directing us to adopt the 165-day calendar. And understanding that's coming from you and your authority for the DEA. In that directive, what is the process behind it? Okay, and I'm going to finish my question if you don't mind. Sure. The process behind the directive comes from one statute, one process, and the fact of the matter that when it boils down to what information we've been provided with, you're asking for 15 days for us to open this district back up to cost our taxpayers. And an increase of 7 hours worth of instructional time. That is the difference. So please explain that expense to me.
Okay, I guess, is this working?
Turn it to the right. No, turn the microphone. Keep it up there.
There, okay. First of all, you've seen in written documentation my authority to issue a directive, but I'd be happy to cite those if you'd like me to. It's TEC statute 39A.1003, TEC 39A.113, TEC 39A.111. Now, as I mentioned to you at the first board meeting where this was discussed, I don't relish having to write a directive on this. It's never what I want to do as a conservator. I want to help. But there were 3 things that have been done by the district. Your approved TAP plan, where you committed to 165 days, way before I even came to the picture, back in October. Then you submitted for the LIFT grant. In that LIFT grant, there was a commitment made to 165 days. Then the DOI waiver to the commissioner, which he has never considered a waiver to that. And in that waiver, which was unanimously approved by the board, all over it, it said, we need this DOI waiver for the 165-day calendar to be adopted. And lo and behold, the commissioner approved your DOI waiver. So there were 3 commitments made that simply, I would say you need to honor those commitments, because you said you were going to do that. Now, when you say, talk about hours, people that have not been in school systems, when you start looking at time of each day, that's a little deceiving. Because I listen to you, I expect the same respect. The thing about it is a full 15 more days of instruction. It's 15 more days in front of the math teacher, 15 more days in front of the science teacher, and so on. Those are 15 more days of learning. When you look at just time, adding 5 minutes to each day doesn't make that much appreciable difference. But having a student in front of you 15 more times, that makes a big difference. 15 more days of instruction gives your kids a better chance of being exposed to more of the curriculum. So it gives them a stronger chance of being successful in any content area, and certainly on any kind of STAR test.
Okay. So then again, that I'm a pretty down-to-earth person. Okay. But you say 165. You look at what we're looking to improve. When you pull that up and look at what we're looking to improve, and you're okay with it, you're talking about 7 hours. You are talking about 7 hours. In 7 hours of instruction, I was raised by a math teacher. I know exactly what 7 hours of instruction time can do. I know what it cannot do as well. But when you weigh that decision against the amount of money it costs to bring every teacher into this district for another 15 days, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Well, we will have to agree to disagree on this, because I do think 15 days being back in front of a math teacher makes a big difference. I also want to say a couple of other things about the calendar.
15 days for 5 minutes?
No, it's 15
It's 15 days for 5 minutes.
It's 15.
When you come down to reality, it's 15 days for 5 minutes.
I'm not going to debate you on that, but let me also say this. I really thought, most school districts across the state of Texas have over 180 instructional days in their calendar. They do. This one, though, I thought your 165-day calendar that your superintendent developed was a really smart calendar, because it balanced your recruitment needs. I understand you have recruitment needs and challenges, and you want to recruit the best teachers that you can. I understand that. When the calendar that was presented by your superintendent, or been worked on by your superintendent, there were 38 instructional weeks, and I'm not counting any of the holiday weeks. 38 weeks of instruction. Out of those weeks of instruction, 15 of those are 5-day weeks. 23 of those are 4 days or less. So I thought that was a really good balance between the need to be competitive and take care of the needs to recruit the best teachers you can get, while also giving your kids more instructional time. So I thought it was a really good, I thought it was a win-win for both your teachers and also for your students. But y'all have made these commitments all along the way, and that was the other part of that equation, is to honor those commitments. You had told TEA you were going to do this in several different ways. So that's why we find ourselves in this place. Any other questions for me?
It's not as much a question as one of the challenges of being a board member is holding accountable and supporting superintendent. So taking a decision like this out of our hands places that responsibility at your feet. One of the statements Dr. Tolton has made is 15 extra days has a much lower value if we don't have high-quality educators in the room for those 15 days.
Now that responsibility lies at your feet. And I don't think that carries as much concern for you as it does for us as community members. And while I understand very much, and I agree with you from the standpoint of that 7 hours, in a perfect world, having the days probably has a higher value than the 7 hours. The problem is it's not as simple as let's train these two because we don't know what that cost is yet. And so I fear that this will have consequences that won't hurt you as much as it's going to hurt us.
It may also have consequences that are beneficial to your students at the end of the day.
The challenge there, and what I was going to say, the challenge there is we've already seen benefits. So it's.
And it may be even greater benefits now. Because I will tell you, having been a teacher, I've been in education for 40 years. The curriculum, I don't care what curriculum you use, or whatever textbook you use, it's very difficult to get through all the content. And so when you don't, particularly mathematics, is a very sequential learning, and if there are any gaps, it'll hurt them throughout their entire educational experience. So any chance you can give them to be exposed to more of the curriculum, I think that's a good thing. And furthermore, you all have made this commitment. It's not, you can't rest it all on my feet because some of these commitments have been made way before I even came into the picture.
I agree. Okay, and we understand your statement there. We didn't approve this calendar until January. So where did we make a commitment? Because we were informed that this was an option to look at this. So where was this mandatory and who made the decision being called for a mandatory 165-day calendar? Because I don't remember somebody saying it was.
Unfortunately, I can't answer.
We operated in a state of ambiguity, and that we said we would consider, and we did consider.
Right.
But the wording that was expressed was stronger than consider. And the mistake that we made is I did not specifically read that DOI waiver. And so what we approved, but we did not read closely enough, did imply that we would follow through with it. And so we can begin to discuss semantics because many of the words that were used were words that could be interpreted as either direction, but the state is interpreting that as you committed to. Now, one of the things that did happen is a commitment was made, I believe, in an email from Dr. Tolton, was pressed very hard for the grant, and that was not a commitment that we had agreed to as a board. So, but that is why we are in this place. Would you say that I answered that correctly? Okay.
That is accurate. And then the TAP plan, which you all approved, I think in October of this past year, also included 165 days.
I'm saying, and again, this is semantics, it says that we consider.
Yeah.
And so that is, again, we are here.
So now we're here.
Exactly.
And put a burden on everybody.
Do we have any other questions for Dr. Garza?
We need any more discussion from our attorney. I think you said.
So I'm clear that we have to rescind this one before we make.
No matter what, we have to rescind it is what I have been. Okay. So I have a motion and a second to rescind the board action adopting a 150-day instructional calendar for the 2026-27 school year. Has that been read well enough? Can we vote on that?
Okay, all in favor of rescinding the calendar? All opposed? Okay, that passes. Moving on to item 8B, discussion and possible action, if any, to adopt a 165-day instructional calendar for the 2026-2027 school year. Now with this one, okay, do you have a recommendation?
So on the recommendation side of it, in adopting the 165-day calendar, I know was discussed this evening, of course, with discussions around our calendar and not complying with the 3 directives, of course, or DOI, along with those. Of course, with DOI, there's several portions of our DOI plan that pretty much are nullified, being that without our DOI, you don't have a flexible start date. That means you can't start until the last Monday in August. You also have some personnel that we have that will be impacted by it as well. You also have currently with our staff members, our teaching staff, they're on 10-month contracts. So with no DOI, your teachers have to work 187 days versus 10 months. So those are the 3 big components that are tied to it. Of course, on the side of it, we don't know. Once we have a conversation about the calendar, if we do decide to adopt a 165-day calendar, we can go back and really try to see if we can actually regain our DOI. And I think when we look in the grand scheme of things, but the price we'll pay as a district will be more costly without adopting a 165-day calendar at this point. Considering the academic momentum that we currently have as a district. So from a district level standpoint, as I'm sure I think one of the board members has asked, how many number of days, instructional days, that some of our local neighboring school districts have. And I'll say that out of the ones that I pulled, we currently have the lowest amount of days. We currently have 150. I think the only 2 districts that have 155 days in our area are both B-rated districts, and that's New Waverly as well as Alaska. The rest of them have on average at least 170. So that still places us from a competitive standpoint in a better position versus not having a DOI. I don't really think that we can function without having. And of course, I don't know if that will be granted back to us from a district standpoint, but it definitely puts us in a very compromising position. So from a district standpoint, Mr. President, I recommend that we adopt a 165-day instructional calendar for the 26-27 academic year.
Did he just make it?
Yes, I have a motion
I'll second.
and a second. Now, there's only one 165-day calendar, is that correct?
I'm just saying.
That works.
Oh, there. We have 2 in our packet, one no DOI and one.
So my recommendation with that is that we adopt the 165-day calendar. Of course, I will be in contact with TEA to hopefully see if we can get our actual DOI back. And with that, not sure what TEA will do. We still will have our flexible start date. We also will have at the end of each semester, we'll have our 4-day instructional weeks off. On the Strong Start calendar, you'll have those dates off in November and December, as well as during testing season, which will be this time of year, April and May. But of course, the goal is right now is to adopt a 165-day calendar, and then we will have discussions with TEA on either a Strong Start calendar or a just regular academic calendar that you cannot start until August 24th. So again, I think on the side of where we are as a district, the challenges are going to be far greater and have a negative impact on our calendar overall. Otherwise, considering the position we're in, if we do not have the DOI, it's going to have a substantial impact on a number of different areas. The focus is right now, and I think everybody needs to understand from a district standpoint, The goal is to make sure we continue to improve. You improve, you have more flexibility. As I mentioned, Waverly and Alaska are the only two districts that have roughly about 155 days, but those are both B-rated districts. So again, once you improve and you get to higher ground, you then have a lot more flexibility as far as our calendars moving forward. On the other side of that, the calendar, the Strong Start calendar does have flexibility where you do have Fridays off. So we have to ask ourselves, which one is actually worth it? We do have some Fridays off. Is it the best scenario from a district standpoint? In my opinion, yes, considering where we are. And I want to make sure that everybody is aware of this. When we started looking at a 165-day calendar, after Clement and I started hearing about this back in September. Those of you that are some of the committee, I know Ms. Curry's here, we originally added into our calendar 16 enrichment days on Fridays. That was the calendar that was presented to the board back in December. And then from that, we had some additional discussions. Dr. Garza and I had some discussions about that on, I have the dates in my head, back on January 13th. Of course, that's where the Strong Start calendar derived from. So just wanted to make sure everybody is aware of that from a district standpoint, in my role and from a district standpoint, is making really good decisions for the district as a whole. And I know right now with DOI, and like I said, right now, the goal is, as I've shared with staff already, the goal was to maintain our 4-day instructional week. All of our momentum, our recruitment and retention has been tied to that. But I also have to look at, from a standpoint of getting to a position, in a better position, and continue our academic momentum to be able to have a lot more flexibility as far as our calendar development standpoint. So right now, the goal would be is to adopt a 165-day calendar. Of course, I'll have some additional discussions before this calendar goes out. We only have one or two options. One would be a strong start with getting our DOI back. The other one would pretty much be essentially no DOI, and we will not be able to start until August 24th, which will also put some additional strain on staff. So I just think right now we don't necessarily have to adopt or select a calendar per se, but the goal would be is to agree to adopt a 165-day calendar.
So I don't have to yell for that. On this 165-day calendar, I'd just like to point out that it's definitely not my choice, even though I'll be voting in favor of it. I'd like to also point out and highlight that we don't have local control. As you heard the conservators say, they've held the improvement plan over our head, the grants over our head, the DOI over our head. Every step of the way, the state pressures every decision that's made here. If we don't do it, then the state will come in and take it over. That's the overlying threat. What TA likes, the way they operate, they want a local board, a local face to approve their instructions. That way, when there are negative impacts, they step back and put their hands up and go, oh, TA didn't do that. Your local board approved that. They operate the same way when they put a board of managers in. So, that's my 2 cents for tonight. And I just want to encourage everybody to do some homework, do some research, probably look into charter management organizations and all of the motivation that drives TA and the state pushing our local tax dollars to private companies.
Do we have any other questions or discussion? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to item 8C, discussion and possible action if any to approve the engagement agreement for financial advisor services.
proposal, and then I'll switch to the prior year as transition firms. And one of the considerations as we continue that relationship, we're familiar with the district finances and how we can approach this current bond proposal and any subsequent financial transactions. It is our request to the board that we make the transition to the new financial advisor form of Nickel Hayden. This is been precedented by 3 changes in the past 3 years, actually, for various reasons as we've transitioned between financial advisors. We've been satisfied with the services that Lucas Shaw has provided to us, and it's a recommendation that I offer to Dr. Tolton, and hopefully he will extend to you that we make that change accordingly tonight and transition our financial advisor over to Nickel Hayden. Contingent on that transition, one of the agreements with that, one of the questions that Dr. Tolton and I presented to them is what our potential fees associated would be with, for a financial advisor with the issuance of a bond proposal should it be successful. And that was a guaranteed amount of $60,000, which is favorable and comparable to what some of the other scenarios would be.
Okay, Mr. President, I recommend the board approve the engagement agreement with Nickel Hayden Advisors LLC to serve as financial advisors to the district.
So moved.
Have a motion and a second. I do have a question, just because I've learned over the years. Is this tying us to, we were tied to McKinney and Golden for a bond and then subsequent attempt at a bond? What does this tie us to?
It selects them as our financial advisor, it's professional service. We're not tied contractually in regards to that. We still have the option to switch. Obviously, that would not be a routine course of action when you're in the midst of potential financial transactions associated with the bond proposition, especially when they've been actively involved in it. When you look for future engagements and that type of deal, the district does reserve the right to transition professional services should they so select. I think what you're asking is, do we obligate to a multi-year or proposition application, not just on interpretation of the agreement?
And that's really the only thing if it becomes non-advantageous.
Understood.
Any other questions? All in favor? Motion passes. Moving on to item 8D, discussion of possible action to adopt a resolution for the student attendance incentive program.
We, in conjunction with Mr. Hackman's office, have pursued an option to ensure that it is in the best interest of taxpayer dollars and of the district's budgetary funds, and this provides an educational purpose, and some other language about Mr. Hackman is fine-tuned, is for us to utilize some of our funding to incentivize and encourage students to be actively in attendance and in participation of their classroom environment over the course of the year. That is inclusive of plans and permit. This is largely managed by the campuses. Ms. Washington has given prime examples of this, and other campuses as well, where they have structured settings both for individual recognition on short-term scenarios, classroom recognition on short-term scenarios, and then long-term perfect attendance. Most of this is incentivized through the trips, small amounts of gifts, tangible items that may be utilized that are appealing to those populations, and apparently a large quantity of food. Snack food. As we have pursued that and like developed implementation with student feedback, that seems to be primarily incentives that are available to us. Mr. Hackman has kind of prepared a resolution that provides us with legal framework of how we can proceed through this resolution that is included in the board packet.
Mr. President, I recommend that the board adopt the resolution authorizing the creation and implementation of a student attendance incentive program and authorize the superintendent or designees to develop program guidelines, attendance criteria, incentive limits, and accountability procedures to administer the program consistent with applicable law and district policy.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other questions? All in favor? Motion passes. Moving on to item 8E, discussion and possible action to engage in particular eligibility certified public accountants for the 2025-2026 audit services.
Continued engagement of our current audit accounting firm. We switched, JW switched back to them a couple of years ago. Satisfactory performance. We have a good working relationship with them currently. Fees are relatively in line with where they are expected to be for a district of our size and for the level of services provided by them. So our recommendation is that we continue that relationship and engage them for a subsequent year. I'm sorry, for the fiscal 25-26 year.
Mr. President, it is my recommendation that we engage the audit firm for the Grant Tidwell LLP for the 2025-2026 fiscal year audit services.
Second. Have a motion and a second. All in favor? Motion passes.
Thank you.
This board will now